This is the Superpowered Mind podcast for inquiring individuals who are tired of the struggle for peace, happiness, and clarity. I'm Claire Diamond, ready to help you explore the principles of the mind, the self, and reality to unlock ultimate mental freedom. This podcast is the one to listen to if you're ready to experience the capabilities of the superpowered mind. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 18. Today we're looking at the future, and we're looking at how an understanding of what the mind is and does can really set the future free, set the experience of living free. Because there's the tension, isn't there, between the obvious usefulness of a mind that can imagine the future and a mind that can plan and prepare. And really it's fundamental to what humans have been able to do since our existence began. Without that capacity, it would be impossible to function in today's society as a capable adult. And so on the one hand, there is this incredible usefulness of future concepts. And on the other hand, there is this paralysis of anxiety, of fear, of nervousness, of foreboding, when the mind gets lost in its images of the future, when it believes they're real. And there's this lovely quote from Alan Watts: "We are living in a culture entirely hypnotized by the illusion of time, in which the so-called present moment is felt as nothing but an infinitesimal hairline between an all-powerfully causative past and an absorbingly important future. We have no present." Yes, and we have no present because the mind is so powerful and so misunderstood. The freedom for all of us, the freedom for the human mind, which is presence. This is the thing. So the reality of the human mind is the present moment witnessing, present moment attention. That's what the human conscious mind is. It's entirely in the now, witnessing. And what happens is that, we talked about it last week for past, and it happens for the future, the creations of the subconscious, so the thought processes, the images that arise, they're witnessed by the mind. But for a confused mind, for a mind that doesn't understand itself, these images are so powerful they look true. So the mind, instead of just witnessing, is lost in the belief of them. And this happens all the time with the future. And it's testimony to how vivid the imagination is, how creative it is, that it can create. In the depth of my public speaking phobia, I'd have to be doing a presentation the next day, say, and would not be able to sleep. And the mind was obsessed. It would have these images of this presentation in which I would be fainting or throwing up, in which all my colleagues would be laughing at me, in which the boss would be calling me into the office to say, "You're just not able to do this job." And these images, future images, were so powerful that they just looked like reality. And because they looked like reality, they were experienced as reality. So the stress of that future event, as if it was happening, the stress was going through my body there and then. The mind was imagining a future scenario that literally wasn't happening. I was just in bed, nothing, no colleagues, no presentation, nothing happening, just a body in bed. And yet this body is going through the stress responses, the adrenaline, the terror of this imagined future. And that's happening over and over and over and over again. And it was happening because the mind was just caught in the grip of its power, of its own power. It didn't understand that these images weren't real. The awareness that it was, the consciousness, the pure presence, which from a sane mind would just be witnessing these images neutrally, like passing through like weather, no truth to them, deep, profound understanding of its own creativity, but a mind that is gripped, and it's gripped because that concept of me that it's imagining in the future looks real. And that concept of me looks like it's in danger of survival, public humiliation, worse than death. I mean, literally worse than death. A lot of polls and questionnaires say that people would rather die than speak in public for some of us. And that was the case with me. So this avatar that the mind creates of a me projects it into a scenario that looks like the future, but is just pure imagination. And that then the body goes through the physical experience of absolute shame, fear, need, desperation, lack. And it's all happening right now in the present, simply because the future looks so real. This imagined future looks so real. And that's because this representation of me, this, which is only a psychological construct, isn't it? It's literally a device. It's like a chess piece. It's not me. How could that be me? It's just a means for the mind to plan and remember. That's all it is. But it looks like truth. And that's the problem. And that's why this superpowered human mind gets sabotaged by its own brilliance. This is what we're always continually coming back to, that the creations of the mind seem so real, so vivid, that becomes the reality that is currently experienced. So this is cool for us all to see that the truth of us is presence. The truth of the mind is empty awareness, in which it's like a stage or a screen on which a play is being performed or on which a film is being projected. The film that's being projected onto the screen is made of the screen, really. Without the screen, there's no images happening, there's no film happening. And yet, when it all looks separate, when it looks like the film is real and that the character of me projected onto that screen is actually what I am, then the mind is just lost. That's all that's happening. And so what this starts to do now is show us that suffering, that feeling of survival under threat, really, a contraction into me and them, and this desperation really to control. That is a signal to the mind that it's got lost in its own chess game. It's got lost in its own representations, and none of it is true. So what happens then is that the narratives, and they're high drama, high tension, high stakes, all centering around this me, this believed me, those are never trustworthy. These high stakes films of the future are entertainment at best, insanity at worst, isn't it? And understanding that, and really all of life, all events, all situations are an ongoing illumination of simultaneously the power and the confusion of the mind. So an ongoing understanding that life is revealing our insanity. Life is because life is a projection of that insanity. And so the suffering is saying, right, okay, right now, this is mind stuff. This is invention. This is creation. This is imagination. There's nothing real in this. So the stress that is being felt now is completely created by the mind's own brilliance and the mind's own confusion. And this means now that planning and preparation, which are superpowers of the human mind, are liberated. Because if I think of in the midst of the public speaking phobia, I couldn't plan. I couldn't prepare. The terror was so enormous. These images of me humiliating myself in front of colleagues and clients were so powerful, so strong, that even the thought of, oh, I'm just going to read over this presentation, it couldn't even happen. I couldn't go anywhere near. I just had to struggle through whatever way I could with minimal preparation, because be it even like allowing the mind to think about the text or the context was just too frightening. And equally, it can go the other way, that there is this obsession with preparing to try to prevent this future imagination. So preparing isn't about the content. It's not about the subject and the exploring different ways that can be presented more brilliantly. Preparing is about preventing the destruction of me. Preparing is trying to safeguard me, trying to control other people's reactions, to safeguard me. That's what preparing becomes. From this lost mind, preparing and preparation is all about how to ensure the survival of this vulnerable identity that is literally made of shame, fear, need, insecurity, lack, and which can never be secured. So the answer to this is to understand what suffering, what that struggle to maintain survival of believed me is indicating. And what this does is it allows the mind to settle into truth, to settle into its only state, really, which is of observation, presence, consciousness, awareness. And it witnesses its power. It witnesses what it creates from the understanding that it's a creative space and none of it's true. There's just this now. There's only this presence now, and everything else is imagination. Like Rupert Spira said, time is the eternal now seen through the narrow slit of the mind. This is it, the eternal now. Through this narrow slit, tiny infinitesimal slit of the mind, a universe is created, a universe of past and future, all of it held in place by an incredibly powerful psychological realm. And so this is freedom, really. This and I think especially this understanding of past and future is so key to really setting free what the mind is capable of and what is real. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Lots of love. Bye. Thank you for listening to Superpowered Mind with me, Claire Diamond. If you want extra support in the exploration of your mind, download our exclusive subliminal recording, especially for podcast listeners, on bit.ly/podcast subliminal.